I'm going to tell you how to heal it. Because sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with it. Want to walk this journey with me? Come on, let's go on down this road. How do you heal a broken heart? I'll be right back.
On this rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Abundant Life Cathedral Church, the church of tomorrow today. A ministry that is building the people that shape the world.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Dr. Ed's Sensational Sundays. I am Yolanda, of course, and this is your wow moment, your words of wisdom. Last week we were talking about Philippians chapter 4, verse 13 from the Amplified Translation, and I like that translation because it gives you a few I ams. Let's study those I ams real quick. I am ready for anything. I love that. Yes, you are. So keep repeating that all week, all year, all month, whatever you have to. And I am equal to anything, which means anything I am facing, it ain't gonna take me out. But more than anything, at the end of that verse, it says, I am self-sufficient in Christ's sufficiency. Woo! That's enough to make you shout. And here's Dr. Ed.
Thank you, Yolanda Adams, for those words of wisdom. I like words of wisdom, and especially that I am. You know how I feel about speaking that, the power of that phrase. Those words of wisdom get us through all the time. Thanks again. Appreciate it. If you're watching this by rebroadcast, you know what to do. Don't act like it's a video or act like it's something that took place yesterday. Act like it's right now. Share it, comment, say hello, like it, thumbs up it right now. This is your time, whether you're watching this now or later on in the evening or whenever. You're watching this in the moment of now. Space and time have nothing to do with this. This is now. I'm Ed Montgomery. They call me Dr. Ed. Thank you so much for being here with us. I've been doing this for over 45 years. Yes, over 45 years. 40 years right here at ALC, Abundant Life Center, Abundant Life Cathedral, with some fantastic people that I have been with for a number of years. Hi, ALC. I am so glad to be with you today. Thank you for allowing us to let our sanctuary, this is our space right here, come into your sanctuary. Your sanctuary is your private space. Your sanctuary is your holy space. This is where you take that extra time, push everything aside, and open up for your spiritual vitalization. Did I say that? Spiritual vitalization? Is that right? All I know, it's vital, and all I know, it's spiritual and it's alive. This is the space and time where you allow your spirit to be fed. And today, we're going to talk about something in the life of Jesus. Jesus is who we follow. It's his teachings that we follow. And we're going to see something in his life that most people don't think of Jesus as human, but Jesus was very, very human. We're going to see how he dealt with it. By seeing how he dealt with it, we're going to learn how we can deal with it. And we're going to put that I am into action into our lives. If you want to change the problem, you got to change your consciousness. And that's what we're about to do, is change that consciousness. Are you ready to go into it? All right, this is going to be good. There's going to be 3 things I'm going to tell you. This is about how to heal yourself. Those of you who have gone through broken places in your life. So glue yourself here. Let's go into it. All right, let's start. Last week was part 1. This is part 2. Last week I helped people understand how to deal with people, how to work with people who are going through grief and helping them get through grief. And I told them, don't go in quoting a bunch of scriptures and, telling people that they're in a better place and all of those different little things. It may make us feel good when we say them, but you got to look at things from the place of other people. This week, I'm going to show when we are going through a broken heart. And I decided to take it up into the level of a broken heart because people lose things on so many different levels. I've had people say, well, you don't know how I feel. And the truth of the matter is, if you've lost something, you don't know how that person feels because you're not that person and you're not going through exactly what that person is going through. You only know what it's like on a certain level. Pain can only be dealt with on a certain level. Just yesterday, we've been watching and dealing with those images from 9/11. And it's always amazing where people say, well, why we got to do this every year? Didn't mean anything to me. That happened 20 years ago. But it means something to the people that went through it. It means something to the families of the firefighters, to the children who may have been only 10 years old at the time, of the firefighters, of the police, of the first responders, who instead of running out of the building, ran into the building because there were human lives that were screaming and that were crying and that they need to do whatever they could, even at the risk of their own lives. And some of them, many of them, lost their lives in order to save someone else. So 9/11 means a lot to other people. It means something to our country because of how we are bound or binded together through the hurt that we experienced together. And although that was seen as terrorism from outside, foreign, we're also dealing with terrorism on the inside of our country, domestic. And it's so important that we understand this so that we can begin to bind ourselves together so that we don't have all this that's happening. You're dealing with things going on the outside, things going on the inside. You're dealing with the fights that are going on about COVID. You're dealing with whether people are, should you wear a mask? Should you not wear a mask? Why are you wearing your mask? Why are you not wearing your mask? We're watching as people, over 600,000 people have lost their lives in this whole COVID scenario. And then there are people who have passed away in hospitals last year during 2020. Even though it wasn't COVID, it was in a COVID scenario. And you ask yourself the question, would they have come out of that hospital? Would they be alive if the whole COVID scenario was not in play? You don't know. You're not sure. There are people who have lost loved ones, not mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, husbands, wives, spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, best friends that they have grown up with over the years. Hearts have been broken. And some of you will tell me that those hearts have been broken in many pieces. How many of you have ever dealt with, I'm talking about a deep broken heart? How long did it take you to get out of that? 1 week? No. Month? Several months? Years? How many years? How long did it take you to get out of it? Have you ever gotten out of it? We're going to deal with how to walk through this space and how to heal these areas in our lives. So just stick with me and connect with me right here, right now. Are you ready? All right. Matthew chapter 14, and you will see that verse on your screen. And I want you to read it, look at it. I'm basically going to paraphrase it. And what it says is that Jesus got on a boat and he left. And let me tell you what happened. He had just heard that his cousin, John the Baptist, had been executed. They cut his head off. His disciples, John's disciples, went in, buried the body of John, and then came back to tell Jesus what had happened to his cousin. One of the things I didn't tell you last week, and that is that one of the ways in when we're dealing with grief and when we're dealing with grief with other people is that after John's disciples had buried the body, they came to Jesus. It says that when they told him John was dead, it says that Jesus, in another actual chapter, brought John's disciples into his inner circle of disciples. And Jesus told the rest of the disciples, feed them, comfort them, take care of them. Whatever they need, give it to them. Because they depended on John. They connected with John. Now they're with me. Jesus brought them into the fold with him. No questions asked. No expenses spared. This is what you do when people are hurting, to make sure they're as comfortable as possible. But then after this had happened, it says that Jesus left. He left his disciples. He left everybody, left the camp. We don't hear where he took anybody with him. He went by himself, got on a ship, booked passage on a ship. It wasn't a rowboat. It doesn't say that he took it and rowed. It says he got on a ship, and that ship took him to the other side of the waters and let him off. It says, and then Jesus went into a desert place, apart. So it tells us there are two things that took place. And the first thing that took place was distance. He went in to a desert place or a deserted place. And he just got away from everybody. Took the boat, got away from everybody. This is what happens as soon as something happens to our hearts when they're broken. When we hear about the death of a loved one. When we experience going through that valley of the shadow of death. The first impulse that we have is we just want to be alone. We really don't want to be around crowds. People really don't want to be around a lot of people preaching wonderful things at them. They just want to be alone. And what we see is Jesus was going, and you've heard the phrase, physician, heal thyself. Jesus makes that statement, physician, heal thyself. In other words, Jesus was a healer, and Jesus would shine the light of healing on others, those around him. But now the physician had to heal himself. So he was about to take that light of healing that he would shine on others and turn that light in on himself. So he had to get away, to be by himself, to get his thoughts together. I'm going to take some liberties here because this is why you get by yourself. Sometimes you just want to scream. Sometimes you just want to cry. And you don't want other people to see that execution of pain. And when that pain gets to such a high level, you don't know how you react or will react. And you just want to be alone. You don't want any theology. You don't want any Bible doctrine. You don't care about your faith. You don't want to care about healing. You don't care about strength. As a matter of fact, if you talk to God, you're crying out to God here. And what I want to say to you about that, there is nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, it is one of the best things you can do, is create that distance. Now, please understand me. When something like that happens and people go into a room and shut their door, you got to let them deal with it. I know you might be worried about what they're going to do to themselves, but you got to trust them. You got to let them deal with what they're dealing with. And that pain can be, you have no idea. And I'm going to deal with what pain turns into, how to turn pain into something that is going to change everything. I've gone through I've gone through the transition of a child at 14 years old and also the transition of a wife. I've lost the two girls in my life that were very important to me. And so I understand not what happened. I don't understand death. I don't understand this type of mystic whatever. All I know is that it hurts. And if it hurts me, it hurts you. And it hurts all of us on certain levels. Everybody's not hurt the same way. But we all are dealing with things on different levels and how we relate to different people. There's nothing wrong with distance. There's nothing wrong with getting away. There's nothing wrong with clearing your space and clearing your head. And let me say this about distance. We go to places, sometimes it's not just closing a door or getting away from other people. Sometimes you'll find people just sitting at a table, or you go out to lunch and you invite them out because you think you need to intervene and help them because they don't seem right. I got some news for you. They are not right. Something has happened, something has changed, something has transfigured in their lives. And you'll catch them sometimes staring off in space. They may be talking to you, maybe lose congregations and you lose concentrations. You may want to say, are you listening to me? Try to resist it, but just say it again. Say, hey, I was telling you so and so. Oh, okay. And sometimes they're going to go distance mentally. They're going to go into a distance just where you all are together. Give that some time. See, then I've had people say to me, don't you know it's been a year? Don't you know that it's been 5 years since that happened? I've counseled people, and this is the one thing people tell me. People come to them and said, it's been 6 months, it's been 3 months. You ought to be over it by now. And the people who are saying this are people who have not gone through anything. I'll say it again. They have not gone through anything. Because what you're looking at, it's been a year. To them, they're saying, you should have been through that. But for that person, it can be or feel like only last month. See, this is distance. Everything becomes distorted. When a mother transitions, and I try to stay away from the word of losing a mother, but sometimes that comes out, or losing a parent or losing somebody, but sometimes that comes out because I'm speaking English to English-speaking people, and sometimes that's the way it feels. It feels like a loss. It's not that that person is lost. Our beliefs teach us that we don't lose them, that they've just transitioned, and that's a wonderful way to put it, or that they've gone home, or that they've moved on. So it's not that I'm not saying that we've lost them. What I am saying is we feel a loss inside of us. You feel the loss inside of you. How many of you know what I'm talking about? It feels like something is missing. That's distance. The second thing that you have to deal with, it says that Jesus went into the desert place, apart. So it goes into number 2. Number 2 is you got to give yourself some time. First of all, you gave yourself some space, some distance. Now give yourself some time. I don't know. I might have gotten them mixed up, but it doesn't matter. It might be space and time. I might have them switched around, but that's that Albert Einstein thing, because Albert Einstein says that space and time are the same thing. But you've got to give yourself some time. And don't allow yourself to be on the timetable of other people. There are people who are going to look at you and feel that you should long been over this. What's wrong with you? You should be through this. Aren't you a Christian? Well, let me help you out. The Word of God says, and they'll come. Let me tell you what they'll do. They'll try interventions, and they'll get 3 or 4 of them together, and they want to take you out and take you to the dance club, or take you out to the club or somewhere, and invite 3 or 4 other people, who look good, and sit them around you, or they want to take you somewhere to eat, and you'll go out, and it's fine. You'll go somewhere. They'll take you out to eat. They'll even buy you food for you. But after that, they take you home, and you're what? Right back in that same space and time again. So realize that this thing is going to take time. What Dr. Ed told me, especially in the area of grief, and I'm not talking about loss of somebody that you fell in love with and they broke your heart. That's going to take some time, and also there are going to be others that are going to come along. See, that's a little bit different if you lost somebody that you loved, that through death, but you felt like you were kicked to the curb. That hurts right there for that moment. Yeah, and it's going to continue to hurt. But as time goes on, especially if someone else comes into the picture, that other person can be another heart that can help you heal from that. The only problem you might have, and that is if you won't let your heart heal or let your heart mend, if you still carry the baggage from the previous relationship. But if you will just give yourself some time before you jump right into a relationship, and that's another thing. Don't jump right into the relationship or a new relationship with someone, especially if your heart's been broken by that person. Let your heart heal. Let it take the time and understand what happened to you. Somebody just came in and ransacked your soul, baby. They just ransacked you and just tore up who you were inside. You put a lot of yourself into them. And then when they split, they just took a piece of your heart with them. People call it a broken heart. They ought to call it a stolen of a piece of a heart, because they took a piece of your heart with them. And I don't care how much you knock on their door and text them, you ain't going to get that piece of heart back. It's gone. So you've got to deal with how to refresh that area of your life. In the area of death and in the area of grief, it takes that time, especially if people talk about the passing of a mother, the passing of a spouse, and I'm not going to even get into the passing of a child. I'll say that in just a second. But a mother or a spouse or a family member, someone that you are a good, close friend, I'll be honest with you, it's going to take a long time. Some people say, do you ever get over it? Not really. You change. You learn to function differently. And to those who have lost children, somebody says, do you ever get over it? I'm just going to tell you flat out the way it is. And somebody said, well, I lost one. I dealt with that with COVID. Something happened. There was an accident. And I hurt very deeply for people like that, because I know how it feels, and especially how as that child gets older and you get to know that child. What you experience it stays with you for the rest of your life. You never get over it. I know that's not helpful at all. But you never get over a child. What you learn to do is how to live with it. And especially those who are close to a mother or a parent, you learn how to live with it. And believe me, That takes time. It takes time to learn it. And this is what Jesus was doing. He had gotten out into a deserted place. And he was trying to take that time. You say, well, when you read the scripture, it looks like, he came out of it just like that. But remember now, they didn't have no planes, trains, or cars or anything. If Jesus got on the boat, it took some time for him to walk to the boat, to wherever the water was. It took some time for the boat to get to wherever it was going. When Jesus got off the boat, it says he went into a desert place, took time. It says apart. It took more time. Then it says by the time the people found him, and I'll talk about that, it took time for them to walk. They didn't have cars. They walked. Jesus was in this space alone by himself for a very long time. We don't know how long, but it was longer. It was more than a few days. And he was just there. And we don't see any evidence of him coming out of this. But I'm going to show you what brought him out and what got him from this place. Listen, before I go any further, let me say this. Normally this is the time usually we'll do an offering clip, because I like to do those offering clips because they're shorter, and I don't want to talk too long about giving but giving is such a vital part of our living. We give to live and live to give. It is so vital. Let me say this. We've been doing this online for over a year now. And we are going to be going back into our physical building, hopefully within a month. We're looking at October. We don't know this virus. Either way, I'm going to be going in. I'm going to be taping from there. So everything is now in play, chairs and sound systems and all these things, because this place we're going into is fresh. And understand, I know church is not the building, the church is people. But at the same time, I want to be able to have a space to where we can social distance, where you can feel comfortable. And those who are going to be coming will be coming. Those who are going to still be online are going to still be online. And we'll, get some wonderful eye candy and all that kind of good stuff. But more than anything, we have got to begin to raise the consciousness of our generation. All the fights about masks, people trying to crush other folks' self-esteem, voting rights, all these things. I have to take that pulpit, and you have to come back into that spiritual place, because it's from these spiritual places that we heal our people. We got to heal this. We got to heal our people, our country, our land. But you can't heal nobody else until we heal ourselves. How many of you are ready to heal yourself, to be able to get strong now? We can't let these people take this country down. We got to build a kind of church that matters, not just entertains, building a 3-ring circus, but a church that matters, and that's us. So help me with this space. Help us in this 40th year of our ministry going into the next space. Here's how you do it. Go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org. That's our website. You can hit the donate button. It's right there. You'll see it, and you can give set up right there. Or you can use your phone, your text to give. And that number is, type that number in there, 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. And then right in the message, you can text in how much you're going to give. $40, $30, $20, whatever, $100, $500, whatever you're going to give. Text it in there. It is safe. It is secure. It is something we put in all those protocols. Goes right to the bank, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't go to me or in my hands or through human people. No, it doesn't. It goes right straight into that banking system. Or you can use your app And many of you got the app, and we're constantly improving the app, getting radio broadcasts on the app. You can push the donate button on that app, and that app will take you right to your giving space there also. And for those you say, I just want to write a check. That's what I want to do. I'm old school. Here's what you do. You can write to Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas 77215. That's Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas 77215. Slip a check in there. Make sure you put a stamp on there. You can even slip a little note in there, let me know. I'll get it. Look, I've been doing this for 40 years, and now it's time to step up even more. Sandra and I gave our lives to this. She's transitioned. I got to go on, you got to go on. And many of you have had loved ones transition. That's what we're talking about. But you know what? We're going to make their lives count and never be forgotten. Do what you're going to do. I'm looking forward to seeing it, all right? Okay, let's get back into it. Well, this is, I'm checking my time here. All right, I can do this. Jesus was in these mountains, and something happened. I forgot to say this. Take a moment right here, by the way. Somebody told me, said, this is the best place to do it because people are watching. If you're liking this so far, hit that like button. That thumbs up button, just go ahead and hit it. Click it right there. It's not going to take you out. Just go ahead and click it now. If you like this, click it. What we've been saying and some of the things, truths we've been sharing. If you have friends that you know will get something out of this, it will help heal them. Because I wanted to stop right here and tell you this. It will help heal them. Help them to have the courage to move on and to go on into the future. Hit that share button. Share it with somebody. Share it with a watch party. Share it on somebody else's screen. Share it with somebody else that you might be watching later on. Share this with them. Say, listen, watch this. Getting Through Grief. How to Heal a Broken Heart. You can do all of that. And your comments, you know I love your comments. If you're not from the city of Houston, let me know what city you're from. If you're not from the state of Texas, Texas is going through stuff right now. Yeah, we going through in Texas, baby. Let me know what state you're dealing with. Your state might be going through, and we may have to pray for your state. Let me know what state you're in other than Texas. And if you're in a place other than the United States of America, let me know where you are. That will be perfect. All right. Space and time, 1, 2. Here's the third thing, and I'm bringing this up, that happened. Jesus is into himself. He's shined the light on his own life. And here is what these people did. It seems that somebody found out where he was. I bet you it was the ship captain that told. Where to get out. They found out where he was. And you have to understand now, Jesus was a master healer. And he was always sought after. But let me tell you why he was sought after. Not because he was the only healer in town, but because Jesus didn't charge for it. That's right. What? That's right. The other healers, Nazareth was known for birthing healers. There were other people who were healers in that town, and they were good ones. Jesus was the best. And Jesus was mostly known, not necessarily for healing the sick, but for casting out demons. And the other healers, because if you were trying to go to a doctor at that time, 2,000 years ago, you better go to a healer, because the state of medicine at that time was flush it, wasn't no good. Nobody wanted to be a doctor back then. As a matter of fact, The woman with the issue of blood, lost all her money and everything dealing with doctors back then. Medicine's totally different right now. Don't get like that with science. Medicine's a totally different place. But Jesus, they came to him and they heard that he was in their region. Took them days to get to him, but they finally got to him. And the scripture says that Jesus looked at him. He came out of that grief era or area, looked at him. It says, and he saw their sickness. He saw, and he was moved with compassion, and he healed their sick. Now watch this. He was moved with compassion, and he healed their sick. Wow. What is passion? Compassion. Take the word calm out of that. Community passion. In other words, passion, touching the passion of others, understanding the passion of other people. In other words, he got out of himself, stopped dealing with himself here, took the light that was shined on his own self and shined it on them, on that healing. He got out of himself and he had compassion. He saw their hurts, their needs, and he began to do what he did, even though he did not feel like it. You don't have to feel like you're helping people to help people. You don't have to feel good about it. Sometimes you just have to do it. You do it. Feeling comes second. You don't wait, I don't feel like it. You have to make yourself smile, even though you don't feel like it. Well, that's phony. That's phony. That's not phony. And even if it was phony, don't make any difference how phony it is. What you're doing is you're telling your body and yourself, I can smile even though I don't feel like it. You don't have to feel like smiling to smile. How many of you got kids that come ask you for money? Your children come ask you for money, right? Yeah. And you give it to them? Yeah. You don't always feel like it, do you? No. But you do it. Why? Then after a while, it all blows over. You didn't want to do it, but you did it. And I have learned that sometimes you got to pray for other people going through what they go through, even though you're going through what you're going through. Because by praying for people who are going through what they're going through, it eases the pain of what you're going through. Now watch what else happened. After he did that, it says that his disciples found out, probably from the other people, where he was. It says they showed up. And Jesus just kept healing their sick and teaching them in that desert place where he was. He healed them in the place of his sickness. He prayed for them in the place where he needed prayer. He lifted them in a place where he needed lifting. How many of you need lifting right now? How many of you need to be prayed for right now? Then pray for someone else. Ask God to heal someone else. Ask God to lift someone else. And watch the hurt for just that moment, like a hot air balloon, rise from you. And then Jesus got so caught up in what he was doing with other people that it got into the evening. And the disciples said, Lord, we found you out here, but you've been out here with these people all night long. He says, they've left the cities. They're hungry. You need to let them go so that they can eat. They're weary. Jesus says, feed them. They said, Lord, we don't have anything to feed them with. It's just us. Jesus said, what do you have? They said, we have 2 fish and 5 loaves. Jesus said, give them to me. I'm going to give you a third one right now. I said, give distance, give time. Right here. Give service. Give service. Say it with me. Give service. And Jesus turns around, takes those 2 fish and breaks them. 5 loaves, breaks them. And then what does he do with them? He gives them to his disciples. Then what does his disciples do? He gives thanks to the Lord, to his Father. And the disciples give it and set it before the other people. So what do you think they're going to do? Some people say God multiplied it and fed all of them. And they got 12 baskets full. Now, how is that even possible? Well, God can do anything. Well, you've never seen God take a McDonald's double quarter pounder with cheese, make a double in your bag. No, never happened. He never gave you a small order and doubled it to a large order. Never happened. Let me tell you what happened. Many theologians, many believe this, that what happened is when they saw Jesus serve others and the disciples who had been served the people, it says that the people began to serve who had food with them, serve those who did not have it. They gave of themselves. They served. And when they served, it says 5,000 people were filled so full that they had fragments left over, 12 baskets full. Look at that miracle. Then after that, Jesus left that place, got in a boat with his disciples. No, he left the place, got in a boat with his disciples. Then he went back up into a mountain to get back into his space again. He was there all night long, early in the morning, before it was light. He looks down. They're in a storm. What does Jesus do? He leaves again because they're hurt. He begins to serve again, and he sees them in a storm. He goes out, and he begins to walk the water to him. Understand now, power, walking water. They turn around, and they see him. Peter says, if it's you, let me walk with you. You heard me tell the story. And Peter walks water with Jesus. Jesus walks back to the boat. Get back to the boat, the storm stops. When they get in the boat, they go to the other side. When they get there, it says that there were people who had heard that he was in town. And they said, sir, you don't have to heal our sick. You don't have to cast out devils. Don't do anything. Just let the people who are sick in our town come and touch the hem of your garment. Are you ready for this? You ready for me getting ready to tell you? Pain can be turned into passion. Passion is turned into power. And power is turned into purpose. When you turn your pain into purpose, not only will you change the lives of others, you'll change the life of yourself. Let me tell you this. When you're going through hurt and pain, every time you go through things that hurt you, you dump them into like another room in your life. You know that old spare room in your life? You know that junk room you don't like to go in? Yeah. When you encounter things that you don't want to deal with, you dump it in that room. When you pass things that remind you of things that hurt you, you don't want to deal with it. You close your eyes and you just dump it in that room. But in order to get to the other side of your house, you got to go through that room. So what do? You don't turn on the lights because you don't want to see all that junk. What happens when you're walking through a room and you don't know where everything is? You bump your shins, you hit your knees, you stub your toe, and you never get out of that pain. I'm here for one reason right now, is I'm going to help shine the light in that room. Get a good flashlight, and I'm going to show you this is where this is, this is where this is, this is where this is. See it? See it? See where it was? When that man walked all over your life and tore your heart apart. See where that was when that girl walked away and didn't know how much you loved her. See where it was when mom had given into your life and you miss her so much, and like a rubber band, that's been snapped and then popped. She's been taken from your life. Here you are by yourself. See where that happened? Oh, I know the tears are there. I know the pain is there. But now you see where it is. And if you can see where it is, you can remember where these things are. And if you remember where it is, guess what? Even though the room is dark, you can walk through it because it's not going to leave. But you can learn how to live with it and walk through it and not get your knees bent and busted and your shins hurting or stub your toe. This is what it is with Christ. You learn how to walk through the hurt parts of your life and still survive. That's how you heal a broken heart. I pray for you. I lift you up. I hold you up wherever you are. Those of you that have dealt with loved ones that are no longer with us. Those of you who have been crying over that broken heart, nightmares, fear. I speak strength and peace of mind. Take the time to heal. Take the distance and begin to serve others. And say, it's time for me to get out there and help others do better. Listen, my time is up. But if you got something out of this, hit that like button. If you got something from this, share this with one of your friends. If this blessed you and lifted you, type in that comment. Say, thanks. I feel lifted. Look, take this 15 seconds. Just be grateful for life. Breathe in, breathe it out. Love you. See you next week. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Dr. Ed. Le fleur, flower, French, comes from a root word which gives us affluence. I believe that affluence is like a figure 8. It goes not just around in a circle, but it weaves around and it picks up things as it goes along. We talk about giving when we talk about seed planting. We always talk about that. Put a seed in the ground and the flower comes up. But once that flower has its structure, once the flower comes up out of the ground, from that point on, you never have to plant a seed again. The flower reproduces by opening up, and a bee comes along or an insect, and it smells or however it senses that sweet nectar in that flower, and that flower is willing to give of that nectar. And then the bee goes along, finds another flower, and then it says, boy, that nectar was sweet. I want some more. But what the bee has done is it picked up pollen from the previous flower, takes the pollen to the next flower takes the pollen and uses it to reproduce. So what you have is giving and receiving. And you have to give a sweetness, something that makes sense. And you receive, and through your giving and receiving, you reproduce. That's what ALC has done for 40 years. Our goal is to provide the sweetest nectar so that when you give, you also receive and you reproduce in your life. Take a moment right now, and if not now, make sure you do it right after this, and go to our website, myalc.org. That's myalc.org. Click the donate button and give your best gift right now. And like so many, you can use your phone and you can use that text to give. And all you got to do is dial 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. 742-2035. Type in the amount you're going to give. $40, $140, whatever you're doing. We're doing 40 because it's our 40th anniversary. But whatever you do, make it your best gift. Do it from your heart. Because you know what? You are going to reproduce. And you're going to reproduce in such a way, God's going to do amazing things in your life. Thank you so much for all of your contributions. And thank you for what you're about to do right now. Okay? All right.